Allora, direi che possiamo iniziare. Buonasera a tutti, grazie per essere venuti qui a trovarci, a partecipare a questo evento. Y muchas gracias también a todos los amigos y huéspedes conectados desde Costa Rica. Y en un ratito os vamos a presentare. Siamo qui per l'evento nell'ambito del Festival di Sviluppo Sostenibile organizzato da ASVIS, e siamo qui in Accademia, che fa parte della Marzocco, e l'evento sarà centrato sul Green Coffee. Quindi vado a presentare brevemente l'azienda, chi siamo e perché siamo qui oggi e perché abbiamo voluto organizzare questo evento. Io sono Guido Preti, sono il manager di sostenibilità della Marzocco, e la Marzocco è un'azienda leader nel mondo per la produzione di macchine professionali da caffè. Abbiamo sede in Italia, qui nel Mugello, ma abbiamo una presenza internazionale, globale, con 10 branch offices in tutti i continenti, 100 distributori e 810 dipendenti. E per questo ruolo abbiamo già una consapevolezza e abbiamo già iniziato un percorso verso la sostenibilità che per noi come azienda si focalizza principalmente su 3 obiettivi di sviluppo sostenibile: il lavoro dignitoso e crescita economica, il numero 12 che è consumo e produzione responsabili, e il 13 lotta contro il cambiamento climatico. Ora, oggi non voglio elencare le azioni che stiamo facendo in questa direzione come azienda, perché oggi vogliamo invece prendere coscienza del nostro ruolo nella filiera e voler contribuire a sensibilizzare quelle che sono le criticità nel mondo del caffè, per portare attenzione su cosa c'è dietro a una tazzina di caffè. Sembra un gesto che abbiamo radicato, no? Andiamo al bar, chiediamo una tazza di caffè e lo beviamo così, come molto semplicemente, ma senza spesso domandarci da dove viene, chi lo produce, come è arrivato lì. E se uno inizia a indagare si accorge che ci sono molte criticità, per esempio a iniziare dalla disgiunzione, dallo scollegamento che c'è fra zone di produzione e zone di consumo. Le zone di produzione sono le zone tropicali, però poi viene torrefatto e consumato principalmente in America, Nord Europa e Oceania. E nei paesi produttori la produzione di caffè ha anche una importanza economica rilevante, perché spesso rappresenta una fonte di reddito significativa, e il 70% del caffè prodotto nei paesi di questa fascia tropicale viene comunque esportato. Da chi viene prodotto? Ci sono circa, estimate, 12 milioni e mezzo di piccole produzioni di caffè, in cui il 95% sono piccoli produttori, quindi anche più esposti a rischi economici e sociali, e il 70% sono donne responsabili della raccolta del caffè e della produzione. Se andiamo a vedere, quella è la nostra tazza di caffè che abbiamo visto prima, e vediamo che dietro c'è una lunga filiera, cioè per il caffè, per arrivare dalla pianta, il caffè è un frutto, per arrivare dalla pianta alla tazzina fa un lungo viaggio in cui ci sono molti intermediari, e come vediamo il produttore è all'inizio della catena del valore, quindi ovviamente il valore aggiunto cresce col passare di mano in mano, ma il margine per il produttore in genere è quello più basso, quindi è una criticità senz'altro molto significativa nel mondo del caffè. Inoltre i piccoli produttori sono esposti anche alla volatilità dei prezzi, perché il caffè è una commodity scambiata su 2 borse principali, e quindi è sottoposta a fluttuazione del prezzo che spesso pongono problematiche ovviamente alla gestione di una piccola produzione. E tutte queste criticità hanno fatto sì che molti caffeicoltori abbiano raggiunto purtroppo soglie di povertà, ovvero quella critica soglia di 1,90 € al giorno, che significa estrema povertà. Inoltre le zone di produzione sono anche quelle in genere più esposte agli impatti e agli effetti negativi del cambiamento climatico che stiamo vivendo. Lo vediamo anche noi in Italia, l'abbiamo visto con quello che sta succedendo in questi giorni, e in queste zone l'impatto climatico da un lato per il rialzo delle temperature va diminuendo la zona delle aree coltivabili, per esempio le piante di arabica che crescono in zone dai 1000 metri in su, ovviamente con il rialzo delle temperature le piante devono essere portate sempre più in alto e quindi diminuiscono le zone disponibili. Inoltre le piante sono sottoposte a più stress idrico per le piogge non stagionali e sono anche più esposte a parassiti e malattie e poi a una minor fioritura per le temperature in rialzo. Ora, non vogliamo parlare solo degli aspetti negativi, ma anche vogliamo oggi guardare a degli aspetti positivi, perché comunque a seconda di come viene gestita la produzione e a seconda dei materiali che si usano nella coltivazione per concimare, eccetera, una impresa di caffè, una produzione, una coltivazione di caffè può avere anche degli impatti positivi. Oggi vedremo degli esempi molto virtuosi in Costa Rica che Massimo ci presenterà. Quindi l'International Coffee Organization ha identificato per il settore del caffè tutti questi punti, tutti questi obiettivi dello sviluppo sostenibile che hanno un impatto sul mondo del caffè, su tutta la filiera, ma anche su cui la filiera del caffè può avere un impatto. Quindi vediamo che una tazza di caffè, alla fine, che sembra un gesto così semplice, in realtà dietro ha molte criticità e magari da domani, quando andremo al bar a chiedere una tazzina, spero che uno provi a pensare un po' a tutto quello che c'è dietro e come è arrivato quel chicco di caffè fino alla tazzina. Ora lascio la parola a Massimo che spiega meglio il ruolo di accademia in questo percorso di sensibilizzazione su queste tematiche e poi presenterà gli ospiti dal Costa Rica. Grazie.
Grazie Guido, io sono Massimo, ma mi sa che mi conoscete tutti, no? Più o meno. Quindi Massimo Battaglia, sono referente dell'Accademia per quanto riguarda la ricerca e per quanto riguarda il collegamento con le origini. Questo è un motivo che Costa Rica noi l'abbiamo oggi come ospite. Cosa dire? L'Accademia si presenta come mission proprio diciamo il problema principale del caffè. Io faccio sempre una domanda, torniamo un attimo indietro. Quanti di voi hanno preso un caffè oggi? Tutti. Quanti di voi sanno da dove viene questo caffè? Tu sì, perché eri con noi. A parte la Tamara. Ecco, questo è il problema. Noi abbiamo fra le mani un prodotto che noi utilizziamo tutti i giorni, un prodotto che è conosciuto, che è molto, come dire, fa parte del nostro quotidiano, però non ne sappiamo niente. Sappiamo veramente poco, non sappiamo nemmeno cosa succede in piantagione. Probabilmente il nostro mondo del caffè comincia spesso dalla torrefazione, molto spesso dal bar sotto casa, molto spesso dal supermercato, ma non ci preoccupiamo dell'origine. Ci sono due mondi, no? Sul mondo del caffè abbiamo visto prima, c'è un sud e un nord e un sud. Un nord che consuma e non produce, un sud che invece produce e non consuma. I paesi produttori, stranamente, a parte il Brasile, sono tutti paesi che non consumano. Il peggior caffè che io ho bevuto in vita mia è in Guatemala, il famoso caffè dello scalzettine, no? Sono dei calzini sporchi. Quindi dico, è questo, un po' come andare a mangiare la carne alla casa del macellaio, no? Si mangia sempre carne di qualità più bassa, quella più buona viene venduta. Questo è quello che succede nei vari paesi. Quello che vuole fare l'Accademia è quello di collegare proprio la parte dell'origine con il consumo, cioè di avvicinare questi due mondi, quello che è successo con il vino qualche anno fa. Vino pugliese 30 anni fa, era un vino che andava in Francia, poi tornava con l'etichetta vestito in maniera un po' più elegante, però era sconosciuto. Adesso credo che sia uno dei vini più conosciuti al mondo, ma legato a una disgrazia, legata a Manduria, al problema del metanolo. Però comunque sia, non è che auguriamo al caffè una disgrazia, però vogliamo aiutarlo a farsi conoscere meglio. Se riusciamo a fare questo matrimonio, molto probabilmente riusciremo a far star meglio gli agricoltori. Io sono agronomo, sono figlio di agricoltori e quindi sono sempre dalla parte degli agricoltori. Gli agricoltori sono degli eroi, no? Abbiamo detto, lo dicono tanti. Quindi vi volevo solamente fare entrare un po' nel Costa Rica. Io Costa Rica ho avuto la fortuna di visitarlo, è un paese meraviglioso, quindi se avete voglia di andarci, è un paese che è 50.000 km quadrati, quindi circa 2 volte la Toscana, quindi un paese piccolo. È un paese che è nella parte sud del Centro America, ai confini fra il Panama a sud e il Nicaragua su a nord. Però ha il mare Pacifico da una parte, ha l'Oceano Pacifico da una parte, il Mar dei Caraibi dall'altra, l'influenza dei Caraibi molto più calda, l'influenza del Pacifico più fredda, e c'ha tutta questa parte, diciamo, montuosa legata ai vulcani che danno la caratteristica del caffè. È uno dei caffè, diciamo, più caratteristici che ci sono al mondo, perché c'ha questa influenza, terreni vulcanici, terreni di altitudine, e poi i nostri amici del Costa Rica ce lo spiegheranno meglio, che però portano ad avere una qualità molto alta. È un paese, poi fra le altre cose, ed è sconosciuto a tutti, ed è forse il più sostenibile che io conosca. Non ha l'esercito, per esempio. Dal 1949 un presidente, Figueres se non sbaglio, lui disse: è meglio spendere i soldi dell'esercito, delle armi, in educazione e salute. 1949. Cioè sembra una cosa quasi nuova, quindi sono passati quasi 70 anni. Quindi i soldi, diciamo, dei carri armati vanno in salute ed educazione. In questo paese dove non c'è la marina, non c'è l'aviazione, non c'è l'esercito. Quindi dico, e vivono tranquillamente, no? Non c'è nessun problema. Quindi è un paese dove si produce 1,5 milioni quasi di sacchi all'anno, il 12° paese produttore al mondo di caffè. Il caffè viene coltivato tutto arabica, ovviamente, la robusta addirittura è proibita per Costituzione, non viene, anzi se uno coltiva la robusta viene messo in galera. E dai 1000 ai 1600-1700 metri, i caffè la maggior parte sono quasi tutti lavati, diciamo maggior parte, anche se in degustazione troverete dei caffè di processo diverso, degli anaerobici, degli onei, troverete anche dei naturali, che non sono comuni per Costa Rica, diciamo sono l'ultima moda degli ultimi 10-15 anni. L'80% della superficie coltivata a caffè si trova ovviamente in altura, abbiamo detto, nei vulcani, e ha una piovosità, in Costa Rica piove tanto, 2000-3000 millimetri, 3 metri d'acqua, vuol dire un piano, insomma è quello che è successo a Faenza ieri l'altro, probabilmente, però in tutto l'anno. Da un punto di vista di caffè, in Costa Rica abbiamo 8 regioni del caffè, 4 sono rappresentate qui sui tavoli, e dal nord fino a sud i caffè del Costa Rica, per chi l'ha provati, sono caffè eleganti, sono dei caffè molto, come dire, hanno questa componente di aromaticità legata agli agrumi soprattutto, sentirete quindi degli acidi citrici molto persistenti, e soprattutto la parte legata un po' alla parte floreale, e sono molto dolci. C'è un caffè che, vabbè, chi di voi prende lo zucchero del caffè? Da domani basta. E questi sono caffè che si possono prendere, l'avete anche provati senza zucchero. Io non voglio lasciare la parola soprattutto ai nostri amici del Costa Rica, però vorrei invitare la Tamara, che è la nostra, diciamo, referente dell'ambasciata a Roma. Lei parla perfettamente italiano, quindi prego. Facciamo un applauso a Tamara.
Grazie Massimo per l'invito. Per l'ambasciata di Costa Rica in Italia è una grande gioia vedere qui riunite tante persone interessate a conoscere le caratteristiche del caffè costarricense, i valori che accompagnano la sua produzione, l'impegno e le necessità del settore, le nuove tecnologie e le innovazioni introdotte dall'industria costarricense del caffè. La coltivazione e il piacere di bere il caffè sono profondamente legati allo sviluppo del nostro paese. Si potrebbe dire che una buona tazza di caffè riflette gran parte dell'essenza dell'essere costarricense. Qui in Italia mi piace riflettere sul nostro rapporto con il caffè come quello che la società italiana ha con il vino e i suoi territori produttivi. Nel caso del Costa Rica è un caffè di alta quota, coltivato in fertili terreni vulcanici, come ha spiegato già Massimo, a bassa acidità, 100% arabica e delle caratteristiche organolettiche eccezionali. Tuttavia, credo che ci sia ancora molto potenziale per avvicinare ancora di più i consumatori, le caffetterie e i torrefattori italiani al nostro caffè d'eccellenza, alle comunità rurali di produttori, ai chicchi che percorrono un cammino transatlantico per offrire qualità in ogni tazzina di caffè. Sono certa che eventi di questo tipo ci permetteranno di facilitare questi approcci. Ringrazio Ali Caffè e i produttori di caffè costarricensi che ci presenteranno le varie qualità di caffè di eccellenza del Costa Rica, le sue regioni e progetti che promuovono una produzione sostenibile e inclusiva, come il Nama Caffè o il progetto Caffè Joven, rivolto ai giovani nelle zone rurali del settore. Infine, vorrei ringraziare l'Accademia del Caffè Espresso, importante alleato negli sforzi dei paesi latinoamericani produttori di caffè per far conoscere i luoghi di origine del caffè, le comunità produttrici e la loro vocazione a portare ai consumatori un caffè di alta qualità che allo stesso tempo sia parte di un ecosistema sostenibile e inclusivo, con l'ambiente e le persone che condividono il territorio con la sua produzione. Spero che questo pomeriggio ci aiuti a immergerci in modi diversi di approcciare l'esperienza del caffè, dalla sua coltivazione alle nostre tazze. Grazie mille.
Grazie Tamara. Io volevo terminare la mia presentazione con questa slide. Questi sono i nostri invitati di oggi. Sulla sinistra vediamo l'Icaffè. Icaffè è l'Istituto del Caffè del Costa Rica, è l'ente di tutela del caffè a livello del Costa Rica. E con Icaffè noi abbiamo un rapporto, diciamo, molto che si perde, diciamo, negli anni. Fanno un lavoro eccezionale, veramente sono molto bravi, sia sul livello, diciamo, di coltivazione e soprattutto sul livello anche di processamento, sono veramente molto bravi. Questi sono i due brand con cui vescono, diciamo, come caffè, diciamo, di commercializzato fuori dal Costa Rica. I caffè noi ci presenterà oggi il progetto Nama. Il progetto Nama è il progetto che riunisce tutte le entità, tutte le piantagioni, le cooperative che sono sostenibili, cioè che seguono un protocollo di buone pratiche. È l'unico paese al mondo che certifica questo tipo, diciamo, di realtà, e ce ne sono tante in Costa Rica. Poi avremo con noi Diego Rovelo di Acquiares, il referente, il direttore di Acquiares. Anche la piantagione di Acquiares è una piantagione molto interessante perché è stata la prima a essere carbon free. È stata certificata qualche anno fa, prima a livello centroamericano e probabilmente anche a livello mondiale. Poi abbiamo infine Felix Monghe della cooperativa della Cope Terrasu, che è un'altra realtà molto sostenibile, che fanno un po' della sostenibilità la loro bandiera. Io lascerei la parola a Rolando. Rolando, ¿me escucha? Sí. Bueno, ya puede iniciar. Muchísimas gracias.
Okay, give me a second. Okay. Good afternoon, everybody, and thanks to Marzocco for the opportunity to be part of this important event to talk about sustainability. I know that when you are looking for a good coffee, a delicious coffee, you are thinking too how this excellent coffee was produced and processed. For Costa Rica, those questions are very important, and we will show you what are we doing to take care of the climate change, the climate, and get this excellent coffee that you like it. Okay, let's see. In the chart, you can see the Costa Rica area. Like you see, we are a small country. We are no more than 0.3% of the total area of the world, no more than 70% of your area in Italy area. But we are very pretty activities related to climate change in an international level. When you think in Costa Rica, you think in green. And like the Pope Francisco said, the best world coffee. Some data of Costa Rican sector, like you can see, we have about 90,000 hectares of coffee area. We have about 27,000 coffee producers. And if you can see in the graph, you can see that all the main farmers are small, no more than 100 bags per season. We have 304 mills around the country and 105 exporters and 61 roasters that process the Costa Rica that we take in Costa Rica. You know, this is a small country, but a good quality coffee. For us, sustainability is a triple meaning. It's an economical meaning, it's environmental meaning, and a social meaning too. In our case, we are talking about the NAMA. The acronym of NAMA is Nationally Appropriated Mitigation Actions. I know this is a new word for some of you, but for Costa Rica, it's a very important word because this word permits that we can get some some options to reduce our impact to the climate. Okay, some story of the NAMA. NAMA is not a certification process; it's a program. Uh, it started in 2014, like you can see in the graph. It started with a donor of about 2.4 millions, and it's a big project for us. We have doing more for more than 10 years in this project, and we are getting some results like the creation of the institutional baseline. It's very important for us because it permits to get how reduce this baseline a year, and some result too are to get the MRB. This is a process to measure, to reduce, to take control, to reduce the gas emission of the all the country, and it's a big important result of this project. This was the first stage. The second stage was from 2016 to 2020, and with more money. It's about 7 millions implemented with a German corporation, and between the corporation too, by Caffè and the Minister of Agricultural of Costa Rica, and the energy minister too. And the second stage, the result was financial support for the incorporated internships, support for to access to new markets, and attention to issues are gender, young, and general renewal. Some pictures about our amazing country. The stage three is about 2020, and we are working now in this third stage. Um, some results too: training for coffee producers, implementation of demonstration plots, Again, a strong AMRB process, and we are getting to a low emission coffee campaign. More results of the process is the reduction of the gas emission of the mills with an interesting project that support financial support that can get how to reduce the gas emission of the coffee mills. And we are doing too, planting trees in agroforestry system with coffee to reduce too the consumption of fertilizer and, and take care of the climate. Okay, this project, NAMA, again, is not a certification process, it's a program. It's a program that permits synergies in different parts of our country. One part very important for us is the digitalization process. We have a specific app called Caffè. This app permits us to take the calculation to estimate the footprint of the sector. This app permits to get information about the farmers, about the coffee mills, and get data to get information for the people with dashboard that permit seeing how we are doing to get improve our footprint or reduce our gas emission. And more results of this project is in this moment we are working about the life cycle analysis. It's a product footprint with specific norms in Costa Rica that we have about Inteco. Inteco is our national institute of norms, and that permit to get certification like Roberto in Achiari says. And we are working in a product footprint too. And these amazing apps that we are trying to improve every year permit to virtual environmental calculator to all the country and for our country, sorry. And it's a very product, a good product that permit us to get information that is very important for you too. A summary of the process. If you remember in the third graph, you can see that we have 304 coffee mills. In this moment, we have 120. 12 of the coffee mills in Costa Rica are working volunteer form in the process. We have about 11,000 trained coffee shop producers of the total. We have about 24,000 hectares of doing good practices. And we are planted about 210,000 trees around the farmers in the country. And we got about $400,000 to invest in technology improvements in the sector, in the farmers, or in the coffee mills. And all these things permit us to reduce in those 10 years about 55,000 tons of CO2 to reduce this gas emission of the sector. How? Reduce the nitrogen fertilizer, and for the farms, it's a big option to reduce the gas emission. And for the mills, we are doing efforts to reduce the gas emission in the treatment of the wastewater and the treatment of the coffee pulp. Again, this is an example of the app. In this moment, and they are using a lot of the farmers in the country are using this app that permit information, get information around the farmers, around the coffee mills, and every year we reduce this footprint and we check it with the app. In the graph, you can see our target. We are going to expect to reduce in 2025 about more than 50,000 tons of CO2, and we are trying to do it as soon as possible. And we're doing this specific program in our country. It's a demonstration plots that looks low carbon coffee strategy. Is specific for Costa Rica national consumption, and we are trying to do it a specific certification that call it Café de Costa Rica Bajo en Emisiones. It's a national grab only for Costa Rica, but we are trying to do it for the rest of the world too. An important project too is called SAF Cafe or SAF Nama. SAF Nama is a program that permits us plant trees around the country. And we have about 1,060 contracts signed. And we're planting more than 70,000 trees around the country to reduce the temperature in the farm and control the erosion around the farm. The road to follow toward on adaptation, we are looking for continuing demonstration plots around the country, and we need support of the countries. We are looking for use more efficient technology and in the countries, in our coffee mills and in the farmers to reduce the nitrogen fertilizers. That, remember, is our biggest fact that emits the high emission gases in Costa Rica. And we are trying to do it change of technology in the coffee mills too, to reduce the consumption water and to look for some different ways to use the pulp in the coffee mills. And again, we are using this specific sign, low emission coffee, that we expect that we will be ready for the world export in few minutes, in few years. Okay, thanks. If you have any question, this is the time to do it. Thanks for your attention.
Muchísimas gracias a Rolando. Y bueno, ahora tenemos, bueno, con ustedes posso parlare anche in italiano. I due esempi, diciamo, di buone pratiche. Abbiamo la Quiares con Diego. Te cuento, Diego, que ya tenemos aquí 2 compradores de tu café. Le gustó mucho tu Red Honey. Entonces después me das una propina, me das algo si quieres.
Claro que
Bueno,
sí.
Bueno, muchísimas gracias, Diego. Tú tienes 15 minutos para hablar.
¿Cuál Red Honey, don Máximo? ¿Cuál les gustó?
El primero que yo te digo, lo que con la SL28.
Ah, sí. A mí también me gusta mucho. Vamos a sembrar más.
Eso lo regalan, ¿verdad, ustedes?
Más o menos. La muestra sí.
Bueno, después te paso los contactos. No, eso es muy, muy bueno. Dale, Diego, todo tuyo, la tarima.
Gracias. Mucho gusto a todos. Nice to meet you all. It's a pleasure to be here virtually. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about Aquiares. This is our farm in the slopes of Turrialba volcano. Can you see the presentation? Yes? Okay, perfect. So, Aquiares, first things first, is how you say Aquiares. Aquiares, you can all practice now. Aquiares is a wonderful coffee farm located in the slopes of Turrialba volcano. This is the view that you have from the highest point of the farm. And as you can see, it's not only a coffee farm, but it's also a community. And this is one of the very special parts of the farm, is that it is also a community. The word Aquiares, it means land between rivers in an indigenous language of the Huetar pre-Columbian civilization here in Costa Rica. And water is very important in Aquiares. The main reasons is that 5 communities, the Aquiares community and 4 more, obtain their drinking water from the Aquiares natural springs that are protected with forest around them. This is just for you to have a little bit more of a vision of where we are located. So Costa Rica, as we saw before, located here in the Central American Isthmus. We have the influence between the Pacific Ocean and the Atlantic Ocean or Caribbean Sea. As we zoom in here into the Central Valley, where we have our capital, San Jose, and we go towards the east, which is the Caribbean influence region of Turrialba. Nearby the Turrialba town is Aquiares, here highlighted in blue. This is the largest farm in Costa Rica in one single block. And it is here located in the slopes of Turrialba volcano, as you can see. And it is bordered by the Aquiares and the Turrialba River. And again, you can see and get a sense of the area with the community there in the middle of this large coffee farm, surrounded by 2 wonderful rivers. The story of Aquiares dates a long time ago. It was founded in 1890 by this gentleman from the UK who came to explore and develop land in Costa Rica. Soon after, they brought people and they started building this community. The church was built in 1925. And over time, coffee developed as one of the main economic activities of the estate. We call Aquiares an estate because it is a farm that has its own mill and exports its own coffee. So it is an estate. And through time, the estate developed to become more of a community. And this is very important now that we talk about sustainability, because sustainability is not only environmental, it also needs to be connected with a human element. And there was a very important factor that changed Aquiares, and it was when these 3 gentlemen, which are the owners of Aquiares nowadays, these 3 families, and on the right, my father, Alfonso Robelo, you can see that we look similar. He started a project that really transformed the farm forever and the community forever. Back then, the houses were owned by the farm, and they were given to workers to live in these houses. These people were working, and if they lost their job, they would lose their house. This was the old school model. But in 1992, my father started a program where everyone working for us was able to acquire their own house. They paid for the houses with advanced salary payments, government housing loans. There was a discount given on the valuation by the bank of the homes. And this enabled for the community to become independent. It came from the same origin as the farm, but it now was an independent community. And this has really shaped Aquiares to become a very unique place, one that has an elementary school for kids. It has a recycling committee, a local government, a sports committee. So it is now a very independent community, but you cannot separate the origin of the coffee farm with the origin of the coffee community. And we are very proud to say that our 170 full-time employees, 96% of them own their own home. And this is something that gives a lot of stability and a lot of, just good teamwork and a good sense of belonging for all the employees of Aquiares. This is the relationship that I have, fortunately enough, with my father, who was and is my mentor. And I overtook the responsibility of general manager or director general in 2017. So we've been doing what we can to fill the big shoes that he left for us. So we say Achiares is not a coffee farm. Achiares is coffee and community since 1890. And even though you are far away and we are in a digital world now, I invite you to be part of our community by following our social media in Achiares Coffee. Okay, some more data points to talk about Achiares. So again, we are in Turrialba. We have 2,285 hectares, and 75% is coffee, 25% is forest. The elevation goes from 2,600 feet or 800 meters to 1,400 meters or 4,600 feet. And we get a lot of rain, about 3 meters or 10 feet of rain per year. This is because we are in a Caribbean influenced region, which gets a lot more moisture. The harvest comes from September and finishes in February. So we are in the harvest like 5 or 6 months sometimes of the year. We start shipping coffee very early in October and finish in June. And we produce about 13,000 bags per year. Out of this production, we would say that about 9,000 of those are 83 to 85 point wash coffees that are sold to really good direct relationships that we have with large roasters. And then we have a microlab program that has been growing. Now it adds up to about 1,000 bags or a little bit more. And these are all the specialty honey profile lots, naturals, all the fermentations, anaerobics, and other more experimental fermentations we have, the pea berry, and other very exciting coffees that we produce. We export directly to 18 countries. We participated in barista competitions, or baristas have used our coffee for barista competitions. Actually, there was an Italian that used it and won Coffee and Good Spirits in 2021 with an anaerobic natural from us. And we have a small roastery, about 10,000 pounds per year. So back to sustainability, because this is what we need to express. And you in a more of a consumer country, you need to travel now to the origins and where coffee is grown. As we were talking about before, this is a tropical area of the world where we have all the best elements for coffee to flourish, but there are different systems. So here on the right side picture, you have what is an extensive industrial, fully sun exposed farm in Brazil. On the left, on the other hand, this is Achiares. We have an agroforestry model. We do not grow coffee by itself. We grow it in an environment where there is abundant and diversified shade trees. And we've had the Rainforest Alliance certification since 2003. So we've passed more than 20 audits of this certification. And one of the main reasons that we support it is because of the benefits that we have seen because of having an agroforestry model in coffee. But Achiares wasn't like this all the time. This is an image of 2001, a satellite image that I got from Google Earth. And now I'm going to show you an image of 2010. Did you see the difference there between 2001 with no shade trees and 2010 with a lot of shade trees? There was a big impact that was generated through this time, where there was definitely more of a feeling of this forest that was growing within our coffee fields. The same happened with water protection. So here you see in 2001 how the coffee fields would get really close to the river, and this was the thinking before. Oh, let's try to maximize land. Let's plant it all with coffee. But then we said, no, we need to protect water from coffee, from the runoff that can be come from agrochemicals and others. So now we have buffer zones, which have become forests that protect the rivers, and they also become natural corridors that are very important for flora and fauna that move across these corridors. Okay? This is a very dense slide, okay? But when we are talking about Nama Caffè was born in 2016, if I'm not mistaken. And we were just in the moment where we wanted to identify what our true footprint was. As a farm, as a coffee producing farm, we know that within our borders, we are controlling emissions. We are generating emissions that are under our control. So we can choose to have, for example, tractors that burn diesel and gasoline, and that becomes a very important source of emission. In our case, about 12% of emissions. We might have, for example, when we depulp coffee, we have the residual mucilage and residual pulp that needs to be composted, and that came up to be about 32% of total emissions. There's a lot of other emissions, from waste management, lubricants, gasoline, but a very important one there is fertilizer. So we are unfortunately also buying fertilizer, which is an external input that is derived from petroleum. Putting that fertilizer on the ground will emit nitrous oxide. So we saw that this has a big impact. About 35% of the emissions generated in the farm come from that. Okay. There's others very important one. For example, the combustion of biomass, which is mostly the wood that we burn in the mill in order to generate heat to dry coffee. That is a very important source of emissions. Okay, so based on this emissions inventory, we got to a total of 2,480 tons of CO2 emitted per year if we take into account biomass, or 1,100 if we don't take into account biomass. The interesting thing here is that biomass comes from coffee. What we burn is the coffee tree, the coffee wood. So the norm will accept it as a neutral mitigation because it comes from the same plant that you are growing the coffee. The residual impact on the farm has been this creation of this agroforestry model that now we know exactly what it emits, how much pollution we do. So the next step was thinking, okay, well, now that we have the emission, how can we balance, how can we neutralize the emission? And of course, we have a lot of trees from the shade. So what we did was that we set up there you go, an absorption inventory. Okay, this was done between 2018 and 2019. And what we did is that we put different plots around the farm, 200 square meter plots. Inside each plot, we georeference each shade tree, and we measure the diameter of each shade tree at chest height. Okay, we measure the diameter. And then we patiently waited for one whole year and remeasured again the next year. And we extrapolated that growth of the tree to how much CO2 it had absorbed and converted into carbon, into wood. Finally, we can extrapolate that to the farm and come to this number, which then was 4,772 tons of CO2, which are captured 70% in the shade of coffee and 30% in the surrounding forest of the farm. This means that at that time we had a carbon negative footprint of 3,720 tons. We have done this every year since then. We do our inventory, we do our absorptions inventory, and we always neutralize and have an excess of absorption to emission. What this means is that Achiares is not only carbon neutral, but it is carbon negative. We are removing more carbon than what we are emitting. And this is something that makes us feel very proud. Also in a world where we see climate change is affecting us very bad in the tropics, also in more temperate areas in the north as well. But when it comes to coffee, the movement of different weather patterns and the generation of new pests and diseases is something that we are very affected with. So by being carbon neutral or carbon negative. At least we have good karma. We feel good that we're doing our part. And we've also, it's also helped us to put into perspective another metric of production. How many tons of CO2 are produced with a ton of coffee? How many kilos for a kilo of coffee? And this is something that now we can keep track and make improvements year on year. So one of the things we've done, for example, is improve our genetic diversity, right? Because the strategy with climate change is going forward is to have increased productivity and increased quality. And we have obtained this by doing research and trying out new varietals. For example, Centroamericano is a hybrid that is a cross of Sarchimor, that brings in rust resistance, fungus resistance, and Rume Sudan from Ethiopia, that brings in a wonderful tasting coffee. By doing this, we have a plant that is very vigorous, that can assimilate and use fertilizer very well, and can turn it into a high yielding crop with low pesticide input. Something else that we do in order to reduce pesticide input is that we take the hybrids and we graft them onto a Robusta stock. So this technique is used all over the coffee world. Also, it's used in citrics, it's used in grapes, it's used in many other crops. But basically, we are taking the root of Robusta that is 3 times as large as an Arabica root, that is resistant to nematodes, very important. Nematodes are very dangerous microorganisms that live in the soil and that can damage and kill plants by eating their roots. But Robusta roots are resistant. So by grafting Robusta onto Arabica, we don't have to use chemicals to control nematodes, okay? And the result are these plants that you can see there, just with a little tape. They get put together and they become one plant that 6 months after looks like this. It grows super fast, that even 24 months after it's planted, or 2 years, it will start to flower. And that same year, 24 months after, will give you already a very nice production. So the strategy is about research. It's about trying new genetic materials. It's about finding techniques that can help you reduce pesticide use, chemical use, fertilizer use, so that we can have a more sustainable and lower carbon footprint coffee. We have ventured now with all these genetic materials into creating different coffee profiles. Centroamericano is one of the varietals. Esperanza is another. Entre Rios, Capturra. You had SL28 today. These are all different varietals that now we have brought into the market. And what we think that we offer better than anyone else is traceability, because our mill only processes Achiares coffee. So we can deliver optimal quality control and traceability. And that allows for all of these practices that are done in the farm that can be correlated to sustainable practices of agroforestry, carbon sequestration, etc., to be translated as value to the buyer of Achiares coffee with this traceability. And yeah, just to finalize, I also feel that the most important aspect of our coffee is that it represents our community, the Achiares community. So that's what I have for you.
Diego, muchísimas gracias. Grazie mille, is perfect. Perfetto. Muchísimas gracias. Io volevo fare con voi un ragionamento. Vedete, questo è un esempio. Però in tutto il Centro America, Latino America, almeno tutte le origini ne ho viste tante in giro per il mondo, di questi esempi ce ne sono tanti. Cioè il caffè è molto più virtuoso di quanto si pensi. Cioè gli agricoltori sono molto più legati alla terra, sono molto più, come dire, partecipi a questi cambiamenti climatici forse rispetto a noi. Questo è un esempio. Un altro esempio è quello di Félix con la sua cooperativa. Félix, te damos la palabra. Muchísimas gracias por estar con nosotros. Félix è il direttore della cooperativa di Copa Terra Su, che è una cooperativa molto, molto sostenibile.
Thank you, Maximo. Can you see my presentation?
Ok, ora la tiene.
Perfect. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for inviting our cooperative to this great event. My name is Felix. I'm from Caffè from Costa Rica. We have to say that Caffè is the biggest coffee cooperative in Costa Rica. Caffè was founded in 1960. This is a very important picture for us. It was the first meeting that we have in Tarasur region where all these brave people create the cooperative in 1960 by 228 small coffee producers. The initial initial investment for all the cooperative was a little bit more than $37,000 to create the cooperative. The capacity of the processing of the milling processing at that time was only 6,000 bags of coffee. All the initial members, they put almost $6,000 to create the cooperative, and the activity in 1960 was 100% coffee. Cooperative nowadays we have almost 5,000 members in the cooperative. The members, the capital of the members in the cooperative is $12 million. We have 13 different commercial activities in the cooperative. The capacity right now of the coffee milling process is 300,000 bags every year. The total annual revenue of the cooperative is $140 million every year, and we have a huge process to support the farmers with credits, with almost $18 million every year of credits to the farmers. Let's talk a little bit about the sustainability program of the cooperative. Well, we have a whole environmental policy. We are not going to read it, just to a summary. We just say that we recognize our environmental responsibility. We promote environmental training to the members, to the workers, and to the community. And we have the commitment to reduce impacts through the innovation and efficiency in our activities. We have this environmental policy since February 2018. We have a lot of activities, as we said, but we consider that the major actions in some of the sustainable development goals are zero hunger, decent work and economic growth, responsible consumption and production, and climate actions. We know we have some other impact in other goals, but those four probably are the main goals where we are working on the cooperative. Okay, those are the 4 work lines for our sustainable program in the cooperative. Let's talk a little bit more in by one, just for in the first one is research, innovation, and technology. As we said, we have almost 5,000 members in the cooperative, so we need a lot of technology to have a very good communication with them. So we have our Caficultura Digital, which is our digital way to have contact to the farmers, to send information to them. They can contact to us in a digital way, because we have almost 60 communities where we have farmers. We have farmers everywhere. We have farmers really far to the community. So we need a lot of technology to have and create a good communication with them. We have a whole network of weather sensors for climate monitoring, where we get and we process weather information, and that information is going back to the farmers. We use satellite images. We have our farmers support center, where we have our agronomists and we have our technicians, and all this we are ready for a big deal for us, which is the European Green Deal, which is a huge challenge for all the coffee industry to be ready for all the European Green Deal that we have to be ready for the next year. This is how it looks, one of the dashboards of all the technical assistance that we have. This is the way we process all the information about technical assistance in our cooperative. This is another dashboard where we process all the information about certification process for in the cooperative, for all the information that we get on the farms, and all the information from the farmers. The other work line is adaptation and resilience of the coffee crop. We develop the develop of organic alternative for agricultural applications. We have developed a bio inputs line for the farmers based on bacteria, fungus, and yeast. These organic products we sell to the farmers. They can buy them in our stores, and they have been growing a lot. The application on the coffee fields. We develop organic fertilizers for soil improvement. That organic fertilizers comes from the coffee pulp. And we have the implementation of coffee agricultural practices, and we have the catalog of coffee varieties for our coffee region. The third line that we have in our sustainable program is, as we said, we have been participating in Nama Caffè since the original group of coffee companies in Costa Rica. With the participation in Nama Caffè, we measure the emissions in the industrial process in the cooperative. And we knew that 80% of all the emissions in the industrial process in the cooperative came from the composting process of the coffee pulp that we get in the industrial process. That was a huge discovery for us, and that gave us the opportunity to have new programs, new measuring, and now we have a lot of programs to improve the way we process the pulp here in Copa Tarasú. Now we have the life cycle assessment, and we have the environmental product declaration. Just for example, this is just one of the patios where we have the composting process. Just one, we have 5 like this. We need a lot of areas in the cooperative for the composting process. And those are some of the machines that we use for the composting process in the cooperative. As we said, 80% of the emissions of the industrial emissions came from the process of the composting process. And the 4th line came from childcare and decent work. We have a special program here in Copa Tarasú called Casa de la Alegría, which is a daycare center network where we take care the kids of the coffee pickers when we are in the harvest season. This is a social responsibility project. Casa de la Alegría is a daycare centers, are daycare centers in the coffee region. Some of the services that we have are feeding, comprehensive care with trained staff, hygiene habits, and educational and recreational activities. We take care the kids from 0 to 12 years that are part of the families that come to the region to be part of the coffee picking process. Copa Tarasú is the promoter of this social project with the support of the government and international institutions. We get some money from Caffè, we get some money from European Union, and we get some money from coffee buyers for this special project. This is the evolution of Casa de la Alegría project in Copa Tarasú. We start Casa de la Alegría in 2018 with 1 house. 2019 we operate 4 houses. 2020 we were ready with 9 houses, but because COVID-19 we only operate 5 houses. And 2021 we were ready with 14 houses, but because COVID-19, we only operate 12 houses. And the last harvest, we operate 19 houses. We take care more than 1,000 kids in the Casa de la Alegría project. And something very, very important, this project gives us the opportunity to hire 58 more people in the community, all of them women that normally they don't have the opportunity to have an extra income in the family. Something important that is 85% of all the people that comes to pick the coffee in Tarasú region comes from Panama and Nicaragua, and only 15% of the people comes from Costa Rica. Well, this is all the information that we have from Copa Tarasú. We are working always to give the market the best quality of our coffee, but especially thinking always on sustainability. Thank you.
Muchísimas gracias, Félix, y felicitaciones a todos ustedes. Empezamos con el café. Felicitaciones, Rolando. Felicitaciones, Félix y Diego, por su trabajo. Eso es muy lindo tener aquí sus ejemplos, su testimonianza, ¿cómo se dice en castellano? Testimonios. porque creo que le falta a la gente saber el grande trabajo que hay atrás de una tacita de café. Aquí todo el mundo se toma un café sin saber lo que hay atrás. Y atrás de la taza de café están ustedes, ¿no? Muchísimas gracias. Teresita, ¿ya te cansaste o no?
I'm here.
Bueno, Teresita, entonces te dejamos como última cosa para presentar a todos los cafés los 15 cafés que tenemos acá y para darle un poco las indicaciones de los cafés que después vamos a tomar. Dale, tuyo.
Okay. Well, I don't have a presentation. I just want to talk about the coffees that the companies send so you can taste them there. We have coffee from 2 cooperatives. One of those is Copeagri. Copeagri has been working really hard in the sustainability projects also. They also work with Casas de la Alegría. They are part of the NAMA program too. And they have very good programs with women and with young people also. They told me that the coffee that they send represent all the producers that are part of the cooperative. So they send coffees from they send washed coffees, anaerobic coffees, honeys, and natural. Those are the processes that they are working right now, and they are not only one variety. They are all a mix of Catuai, Villasarchi, and Novata coffee. So because they get coffee from different producers, so it's not like they have only one batch or one micro lot from every variety. They mixed it all, and they that's what they want to show you, that they work with specific micro lots, but they wanted you to taste what the cooperative produces. Actually, is that the representation of all the producers. Then we have also Cope Libertad. Well, Copeagri is a cooperative in the Pérez Celedón area. It's in the south part of the country. Then we have Cope Libertad. It's also a cooperative, and they have very strong programs of social responsibility and sustainability. They are also part of the NAMA program, and they implement a lot of good practices to lower the emission of the carbon emission. They are now working in the process of getting their own gender policy, and they work really hard to help the producers that are part of the cooperative. They are located in the Central Valley. Then we have Don Joel Coffee. They send washed coffee. It's a Kenya variety coffee, and they are a small family company, and they implement a lot of good practices in the production of low carbon emission coffee. And then Los Abuelos Coffee they are located, Don Joel is from West Valley. And then we have Los Abuelos Coffee. They are located in Los Santos region, is where Copetarazu is also. And they also implement a lot of programs of sustainable agriculture, and they also implement good practices to protect the environment. They plant a lot of trees also, and they use organic fertilizers also in the farm. And they send 2 coffees. They send an natural anaerobic, it's a Catigua variety, and they send the natural coffee, is a Caturra Catuai variety. All of these coffees are very representative of the region where they are located. So I hope you enjoy it, and I hope that you like them. And Massimo has the contact of all these companies. So if in the future you like those coffees and you wanna get samples, or you wanna get in touch with the producers, you can get the contacts and contact them directly to get those coffees. Well, I didn't introduce myself. My name is Teresita Jara. I'm in charge of the promotion department at Caffè. And we worked very close with La Academia in all of these activities to promote Costa Rican coffee. So I hope you enjoy all the presentations that we had today and that you enjoy the coffees that you are going to taste later. Thank you.
Teresita, Diego, tú tienes que decir algo sobre tus cafés porque los 5 que mandaste. Así terminamos el listado.
Bueno, gracias. Tiene que decirme cuál te gustó, eso sí, don Máximo.
No, lo que nos gustó es el SL28, el Red Honey. Si nos regala o lo pone a un bajo precio, lo compramos, no te preocupes.
Ese es el segundo año que producimos ese café. Es muy interesante el SL28. Sorry, in English, sorry. SL28 is a very interesting coffee. You know, this varietal is from Africa, but it has a very very interesting combination with our terroir, I think. It has a very phosphoric acidity, very sweet, like molasses sweetness, red berries, Jamaica flower or floral notes. So we produce it as a red honey, and I think it was one of the favorite that you had. What else? I sent you Esperanza Anaerobic Natural, a more modern coffee with more fermented dark fruit notes. Also, I sent this is I say modern because we are exploring a lot of fermentation lately, and it's a coffee that people either love or hate because of the very funky notes that it can have. I sent you a Centroamericano Anaerobic Washed. This is a version of I think what we have learned in the last 4 or 5 years of fermentation. We have seen that the market really appreciates these funky profiles, very fruity profiles, but we fear that it might be a trend, that it might grow and then it might go down. So we thought about ways to learn from fermentation and use it in a more classic wash process. So the Centroamericano Anaerobic Wash is 72 hours of fermentation of a depulped coffee, but then it goes into a traditional fully washed process. We wash the coffee and we dry it mechanically. And the result is a very balanced but fruity coffee. Then I sent you as well Mariana Red Honey. This is a new hybrid varietal. We are very excited about this. It is actually now a part of Cup of Excellence in the second round. So please send me the good vibes. Maybe it makes it to third round, we hope. But also a very fruity and interesting coffee. And finally, I send you Entre Rios Fully Washed, a more classic fully washed profile, very chocolatey, nutty, great for espresso, used by many roasters in Europe as a single origin espresso.
Eso es todo, ¿verdad?
Sí, 5 cafés.
Bueno, muchísimas gracias. Entonces, mira, nos vamos a tomar estos cafés, los degustamos, lo probamos. Yo creo que dobbiamo ringraziare i nostri amici costarricensi. Grazie a Teresita, grazie a Diego, grazie a Félix, grazie a Rolando. Yo creo que nos veremos pronto. Buena suerte y pura vida para todos.
Muchas gracias. Que disfruten los cafés.
Gracias.
Grazie,
Bene,
ciao.
se volete provare i caffè sono lì, c'è la descrizione su ogni etichetta, sono divisi per produttore e quindi potete provarli.
Sì.
Poi vi do l'indirizzo di Diego che vale la pena.